All right. Hey, everybody. Leanna Martens back again with my trusted mortgage partner, Jackie, that mortgage girl, Jackie Woodward. Jackie, thanks so much for joining me again. Today,
Thank
we're
you
going
for
to be
having
talking.
me.
We're going to be talking about the first-time home buyer mistakes and how to avoid them. I'll just give people a bit of history. Jackie's been in this business 20 years in the banking industry, 20 years as a mortgage broker. So she really brings you a breadth of expertise. So what are the most common mistakes that you see first-time home buyers make?
Well, I would say the most common is you need to deal with somebody that knows their stuff. So whether it's your mortgage broker or whether it's your realtor, you need to deal with experienced people. You don't want these unexpected surprises coming up.
That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So it has to be somebody who knows their thing and also can educate you so that when you're making decisions, they're educated decisions based on facts and the expert's knowledge and experience. And I will say that the most common mistake that I've seen, just the most recent future, is the credit. Is people just don't know what is on their credit report. And especially during COVID, when people were able to defer mortgage payments and loan payments, things like that,
Oh, right.
they were allowed, they were authorized, the government was, helping us during COVID, but sometimes they weren't reported correctly on the credit report.
Oh.
So when maybe the consumer, like the buyer, would order their own credit report, they don't know how to read it. They don't understand.
Right.
Versus when you're dealing with an expert and I'm ordering your credit, I can take one look at it and say, hey, what happened with that payment? Oh, well, I was allowed to defer it. Well, that's not how they wrote it. So then they're involved. They have to go to their financial institution and have them change it. And they most likely will have to go to the credit reporting agency. There's 2 of them in Canada right now and have them make the change. That can take a couple of weeks.
That's it. It takes time. And sometimes it's not. It can be longer than that.
Yeah. So just in the importance of working with the experts who are professionals in their field.
Perfect. All right. So can you tell me, what would be simple ways for a new home buyer to identify an expert? What questions should they ask? How long have you been in it? What should they say? Should it be 5 years? Should it be 10 years? Should it be, right? What makes them an expert?
Well,
don't work with anybody under 5 years. Don't work with anybody under 10 years.
Well, no, I don't know if I agree with that, but I don't know. I think about, we tend to do what our parents have done.
We do.
And our parents, they deal with the bank down the street because they've been working, they've been dealing with people for 50 years and their grandfather dealt with them. Well, the staff change. So some of the people that are in the front desk, they're order takers. They're not experts.
100%.
And I mean, as Leanna said, as you said, I'm 20 years banker, 20 years mortgage broker. I do believe that I am a true expert because I know what happens at the bank and I know what happens as a mortgage broker. And a mortgage broker has to go through courses and training and updating courses every year when they're getting licensed. We're pretty good. A question is to a mortgage broker, how long you been a mortgage broker? How long you been underwriting mortgages? And what's your answer? Because if you go to a banker and you say, oh, how long have you been at the bank? Oh, I've been at the bank for 6 years, but maybe they were a teller for the first 5.5.
Totally. Or they could be 6 months. There's so many. The turnover I've noticed for frontline bank is extremely high.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are jack of all trades. They can open
they
accounts and do RSP loans and mortgages.
That's
versus
it.
Mortgage brokers, we do mortgages and we work with many, many lenders and many, many different mortgage types and many different client types.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree with you 100%. So you think that some of the biggest mistakes is not finding an expert. And what else? What else is another big mistake?
I think that there's also a pre-approval. I bring the word pre-approval because a pre-approval is a different word for different people. So some bank that you'll go into, they'll tell you that you're pre-approved because they've asked you questions, they've done your client profile, but maybe they didn't order your credit report. So they're saying, no, you're good. That's all good. And the person says, my credit is great, even though they've never even really looked at their credit or they've never had an expert looking at their credit. Maybe that's the way.
Just like you said, right? So COVID deferred payments is a perfect example of that.
Yep, that is a perfect example.
So there's an assumption that person made that, well, the government said I could, so it's going to be fine. Yeah, right?
Well, you just assume everybody's doing their job. Right?
Yes. And people don't always do their jobs for sure.
Yeah, maybe they're not. Something happened and they did, and it wasn't done. So you have to go and do it yourself. That could take a really long time. So you need to be prepared, and prepared is a true pre-approval
with a credit pull. correct?
Yeah, like some of them will just do rate holds. But
Mhm.
if you're dealing with an experienced mortgage broker, like for instance me, I can basically take a look at all of the finances. I always will pull a credit report. I never would say you're pre-approved without having a look at the credit report. And I can tell you, you're good. This is fine. So we're just going to get you a rate hold. Because nowadays, is lenders, they don't have time to do pre-approvals because a pre-approval may or may not fund through them. So they're not spending a whole lot of time on it. So you're not really doing a deep dive into their finances. And Leanna, you and I have talked about peeling an onion. Is it for a pre-approval? I don't really need to peel the onion.
It's not
Yeah,
your deal.
well, it's not a deal. Yeah,
Right.
versus if you got a
Until it's
pending
live.
offer. Yeah, there's a pending offer. You've got 6 days for condition removal for the financing condition.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to peel that onion.
Yeah.
And peeling the onion is, okay, it gives me a job letter, but maybe it doesn't tell me enough. Or maybe
Yeah.
the person's on probation, but they never told me that because I never asked it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happens. So on my end, what that actually means, guys, is I'll get somebody who I may not have vetted through Jackie, for example, and they say that they're pre-approved. And the reason that I don't like that is because all of the unknowns that Jackie's just said, I don't know. So I don't know if that pre-approval is any good because I don't know the lender that they've gone to. So if they've gone to the bank and they've gotten a rate hold, my buyer's perception, just because of what they've been told, is that they're pre-approved. But I already know that if they haven't gotten their credit report hold and it actually hasn't been thorough, then it means nothing. So then when I offer with my client, their financing doesn't get approved. And that is a waste of everybody's time. And my client loses their house.
Yeah.
So it's a really disappointing experience on the other end. So that's why what Jackie's saying is so important. So I'm going to summarize what she said. So really there's 3 things you think are the biggest mistakes buyers make. 1 is their credit. They don't understand their credit. 2, finding a real expert. So somebody who's got some history in the field, like yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
And number 3 is understanding what a real pre-approval is.
Yeah. And I want to add the 4th one that I've just thought of now is that you definitely want to get pre-approved for the highest amount that you can.
Tell me
Because
more.
because like for instance, if they're not dealing with somebody who is a professional and maybe the person has some sort of other income and then maybe they just didn't think that you could use that other income and the expert is sort of peeling the onion, well then I'm going to find out and I'm going to say, oh, well you can use that income to qualify. I did not know that. I was not told that by the bank. Oh, here I am saying something mean about the bank. But so maybe the bank,
right.
well, yeah, maybe the bank qualified you to buy for 400, yet you went to a true professional. You can actually buy for 470.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that that's really relevant in the market that we have been in. So the market recently has just cooled a bit because of Trump tariffs, but it really does depend the segment that you're in. But when you're in a competitive market, you got to be able to work within. And what I find with most of my clients is most of my clients will shop right at the top. So if Jackie's pre-approved you for 470, let's say, we're shopping for 470, but we're in a competing offer. What are you going to do? Because it's going to be, you got to pay above list.
Yeah.
So that's what she's saying is really find where you can maximize yourself in order to be able to win. Okay. I would say that the final question that we've got in this series is what can buyers do to prepare themselves to avoid these mistakes?
Pre-approval, pre-approval, pre-approval.
From an expert, from an expert, from an expert.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And again, tell them everything.
Yes.
Tell your mortgage broker everything. And the mortgage broker is the one that decides what is nice to know with the lender and what is a need to know to the lender.
Yes, absolutely.
Or a mortgage broker can tell you what you need to do to maybe improve your buying power.
100%. And then you can then support them with a strategy, right?
Yeah.
To get them ready. So if they're not ready right now, then you put together a customized plan to help them get ready financially. And then they're ready in 6 months or they're ready in 12 months, right?
Yes.
Perfection. All right. So thank you everybody for tuning in for this quick tidbit of the biggest mistakes that buyers make. And hopefully by watching this, you can avoid it. So that's what our goal is here. And basically, y'all know you got to get pre-approved with Jackie. So click the link below and we put together a free home buyer power pack for you with some amazing tidbits from Jackie. We've got home buyer checklists. We've got calculators to think about your credit, to make sure that you are financially prepared. Exactly the things that Jackie said are all in this power pack. So click the link, get a pre-approved with Jackie. There's a link for that. And then I'm downstream. You can book a buyer consultation with me next. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.